say if you have an issue, please turn your cameras off. We've just accepted Rachel's. I think that's worked. Tina, Rachel's in.
Yeah, I've invited her in, Jade.
Fab. So yeah, like I say, everybody, we'll start now because we've just gone 5 past. I am recording it, so if anybody does have any issues with being on camera, you can just turn your camera off. And just let you know if you can mute your microphone whilst we're giving out updates and Patrick's doing his presentation and Dan and Karen are going to update as well. Then we will get started. I can see a couple of people are just keep joining us, so I'll just do those introductions again. I think will be a really good idea. So today from Teesside University, you're going to hear from myself. So my name's Jade, for those of you that don't know me. I'm recruitment coordinator in the student recruitment and marketing team. I have Kate Nelson with me. If you can wave again. Hi.
Hi everyone.
Kate.
Hi.
Kate is the National Recruitment Assistant. Looks after all of our national events. And I know we have managed today to get a few people on this call that we wouldn't normally get to Knowledge Network with it being on campus. That's brilliant. For those people that are a little bit further afield, it's great to have you on and be able to speak with you. We also have Abby English, who I can't see at the moment, but I believe still here. So Abby's our Deputy Director of Student Recruitment and Admissions. So if you have any particular questions you'd like to hear from Abby, please pop those in the chat. And we also have Dan and Karen, who are going to talk about our summer university programme and how that's transitioned to online, given the current situation. We also have Patrick, who's one of our senior lecturers in optometry, who's going to join us and give us a quick 10-minute update on the course, as that's one of our new courses that is running. So just a reminder, if you can have your mics off, that'll be really helpful. If anybody does have any questions whilst we're talking, if you can use the conversation tab, and myself and Kate will keep an eye on that, and we'll ask questions as we go along once the presentations have started. So it looks like we're all good to go, so I will start. So I am going to give an overview, a general update about where we are as a university, what we're doing as a team, how everything's working. So I'll kick off with that. Like all of you, most of you, we are all working from home as well. So the end of March, we transitioned to remote working. So we are all currently at home, carrying on as close to usual as we can, really. We are still supporting students. We still have students in student accommodation. So current students are still, some of them are on campus. So we're still supporting those students. And we are still accepting and processing applications for any new students that are looking to come on to study to Teesside University or apply to Teesside University. So we just want to make you aware that it's taken us a couple of weeks, but we're pretty much, we're up and running, business as usual, and we are still here for any questions and anything that you may have to ask us at any point. I'm sure it's a really funny time for you guys as well, and it'll be really interesting later on to hear about the contact you're having with your students and how you're finding that transition. I can imagine it's not the easiest to try and keep on top of the students when they're not physically on your campus. So that'll be really interesting to hear from you. I'm going to give a little bit of an update about, because I know a really popular question will be about what's going to happen from September onwards. And Abby actually gave us an update this afternoon, which has been really helpful. So obviously there has been a lot of talk in the sector about what's going to happen, where we're going to be in September, what we can advise students. And we are really conscious that, students want to know what that teaching platform's going to be when it gets to that point. We have lots of teams and lots of departments working on this plan, and what we want to say is, although we don't have an official stance at the moment, we just want to reassure you that we are working really hard in the background to ensure that we are considering everything, we're getting everything in place as needs be. At the moment, we're looking at a combination of online and campus teaching, and that's pretty much where we're at. We're planning on making a bit of a more of a formal statement at some point, but what Abby's reassured us is that our senior management team are really giving this the maximum amount of thought that they can give, and we won't make that official statement until we've considered every individual's arrangements, waiting to think about those nitty-gritty, because we could release a general statement and every student wants to know about their individual circumstance, which is completely understandable because it's important to them. So what we want to make sure is that we get to a point where we're really confident and comfortable with what we're saying to our students, and that we've thought about those individual circumstances, we've thought about placements and work placements and all those types of things, so that when we do release a statement, it can be informative and it will apply to all students. So we won't feel like certain students are being left out. That's really what we're hoping to do. So when we do get to a point where we're prepared to make that statement, we will, obviously you guys are always on the top of mine and Kate's list of the first people to update, so we will keep you informed when we're at a position. But like I say, we are keeping our applicants and our current students up to date as best we can, and that's what we will continue to do as we go through this process. But yeah, likely to be a combination of online and campus taught is pretty much where we're at the minute. But yeah, you'll be the first people to hear when we hear of any confirmations. There's a few other things that I wanted to mention. So our admissions teams again are still working really hard as well remotely. So we've just advised that there might be a little bit of a delay. Obviously we can't be contactable by telephone at the moment, so we are responding to a unprecedented number of emails from students, and of course students have probably more questions than ever. So if you could relay that message to students that if they're emailing our admissions teams, we are picking them up, we are responding to them. It's just that the team are working remotely and it's taking, because of the high volume, it is taking a little bit of time, but we are trying our best to get through them as quickly as possible, and we will continue to do that as well. What else have I got to update on? We've also had a notification from some colleges that we've heard that some schools or colleges or tutors may be potentially advising applicants to withdraw their application for September 2020 entry and look to reapply for September 2021, which I was a bit shocked about when I heard, and I can see the logic, but what we would like to advise as an institution is really that it's not what we would advise students to do. In postponing their study for a year, you've got them potentially losing a full academic year. And for those students that are actually thinking of withdrawing their application completely, they're risking losing that space, specifically on things like health courses where they're competitive courses and they've been really lucky and worked hard to get that place. We'd hate to think that students were receiving any advice in the area of withdrawing applications, because that place isn't there guaranteed for next year. So we would like to advise, if we can, for students to hold off and wait on their offer a little bit longer. We understand that the situation with students may be that they're waiting to see what the delivery plan's going to be before they make a choice, which is understandable again, but we would like to say, if we could pass a message on to students to advise them not to withdraw their applications, because they may change their mind. There's a long time between now and September when they're due to start, and I think a lot can and probably will change in that period. So if they can hold up and do that. And again, I'd like to stress they also have the option to defer until next year, but it's a long time between now and September, and we do think that, I think, which I don't think I'm massively wrong, that there will be changes and there'll be constant updates. I know as an institution we'll be constantly reviewing and updating our processes in accordance to government guidelines. So it's just about informing them of that and to not make any harsh decisions that they might regret later on.
And can I just say something there, Jade?
Yeah.
Is that okay? And just to kind of reiterate to students that although our delivery model might look one way in September, there's no guarantee that delivery model will look the same in January. So, yeah, as Jade said, things are constantly changing. So although it might be one way in September, there's no reason to suggest that it will still be that delivery model in January, because we will be reviewing and constantly changing things all the time.
Absolutely. I think
Diane's just bobbed a question there.
Yeah.
She's actually had Diane from Priory, a lot of students asking to defer, but not to withdraw. So we would say defer, but advise them to hang on for now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's, once they've deferred, they have deferred. So maybe ask them to hold on a little bit. Things may change from now, like I say, from now until September, and once they have deferred, they can't pull that application back for this year. So ask them to hold out a little bit longer, try not to make any rush decisions. But yeah, like Abby said, it's definitely an option, but tell them to hang on. They're not losing anything in holding off a little bit either, to see, how things change and how things end up in September. But we'd hate to think that students were being advised to withdraw their application completely. That's what we wanted to stress. Because specifically with those health courses, most courses, we know how hard students work to get those places at university, and we'd hate to think that they lost that place out next year. So yeah, keep an eye on that and make sure that students are being informed. I think I'll hand over to you, Kate. Do you want to give a little bit of an update on? I'll do local events first, actually. So
you do local events.
I'll do local events. So yeah, obviously we are hosting on-campus open days, as most institutions, as you guys won't be doing that either at your colleges and sixth forms. So we've moved to an online offer. So we are offering postgrad and undergraduate virtual open days, which is again a new approach for us. So it's all very exciting. Sorry, I'm just reading at the same time. So yeah, it's all really exciting, and we are making this transition onto online, which is something that we haven't done huge amounts of before, but with, obviously from this type of thing, we can see from the Knowledge Network, there's obviously an appetite for this online service. So a virtual open day for undergrad is the 27th of June. We will send updates out to you and invites as well, so you can see what's available for students, but if you can share that with your students, that would be brilliant. We did unfortunately have to cancel, well, UCAS cancelled the Tees Valley UCAS Fair, so a lot of you won't have had the opportunity to come on campus that I know you've been planning on. Kate's going to talk a little bit about the national events that we have got confirmed for September 2020 onwards. And it's just, again, it's a sort of similar message throughout all this, is that we would like, as soon as we are able to offer these online events, and you guys are always the top of our list when it comes to updating you as soon as we are, I say back to normal in the loosest sense, because I'm not entirely sure we'll ever be properly back to normal, but when we're starting to offer online on-campus events, we'll be in touch with you as well.
Just a question there from Alice about subject-specific talks during the open day. Yes, there will be, Alice. Similar to the on-campus open days, there will be the subject-specific talks taking place. Students won't need to log on at a certain time. They will just be available all day, so students can log on and watch them. The chat facility will be available all day and manned by recruitment staff, admissions staff and staff in the academic schools. So if once a student has watched the subject talk, they've got any questions, they can just log on to the chat facility there, and then they can ask those questions and speak to kind of the academics or the recruitment staff, depending on what it is that their queries about. But yes, there will be subject talks. And the virtual open day won't necessarily include virtual tours, Clive, but there will be lots of facility videos, and there's drone footage, and there's different opportunities for students to see the different facilities that are available as well. Yes, those sessions can be watched afterwards, Alice. We can start that as well.
You can tell Kate's on the virtual open day working group. I just handed over to her then. Brilliant job, Kate. And I am going to hand over to you now, Kate, if you want to give a little bit of an update on national events and things.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we know, all of the UCAS fairs from March through to June were cancelled. We've had notification, I don't know whether you guys have as well, but we've now had notification of their new rescheduled dates. Obviously, as Jade said, the Tees Valley one isn't taking place, and from what we can see, the Leeds event isn't taking place either. But we do have the Tyneside event, which I think a lot of you will probably go to anyway, and that's going to be taking place on the 14th of October. So Teesside at the moment, depending on how everything goes, and if UCAS decide to go ahead with those events, Teesside will be at the Tyneside UCAS fair on the 14th of October. Also, we will be attending at present the UK UniSearch events. I know a few of you go to those, and they've scheduled their autumn events. So we will be in Leeds on the 15th of October and Newcastle on the 22nd of October for the UK UniSearch events. UK Uni are actually doing quite a bit, and they're hosting a virtual fair on the 16th of June, and there's 80 different institutions attending that event at the moment, and I'm sure that'll increase as it gets closer to the time. And Teesside will be there if you want to advise your students that might be a really nice opportunity for them to talk to different institutions if they're wanting to start the research at that time. UCAS are looking at doing something similar, but I don't think they've got a date confirmed as of yet, but as soon as we know that, we can let you know that. Something else that you might want to mention to your students if they don't already know is that UK Uni are doing something called Webinar Wednesdays, and they're taking place on different Wednesdays throughout the month, offering lots of different topics on things like choosing, applying, studying abroad, apprenticeships, work placements, etc. And they're hosted by different universities. We're doing one on the 1st of July and on the student experience and student life. So that's a really nice opportunity for students, again, to log in and get a different perspective from different universities. I'll also mention, obviously, I don't know how many of you were looking at, obviously, a lot of you had to reschedule your careers and HE fairs that were due to take place. We are receiving now notifications from colleges about when their HE fairs and parents' events and things are taking place. Whether or not they do or not, obviously, remains to be seen. But if any of you have scheduled any careers fairs or HE fairs, we are looking really busy in September, on October and November. So if you could bob those dates through to us as soon as possible, that would be great.
Yeah,
Tina,
we'll definitely
I'm
do
guessing,
that, Tina, yeah.
The links for each of the activities. So yes, we can send you the things from UK Unisearch on the virtual open days, webinar Wednesdays and things like that. We'll maybe collate everything that we've talked about in this meeting and send it to you.
Yeah. We'll accompany it when we send the video out. Kate, what I'm going to do, because shockingly and not unlike us, we are running late already. It's amazing, isn't it? Even when it's just me and you talking. So what I'm going to suggest is we hand over to Patrick now, because I think Patrick's here. Is that right, Patrick?
I am, yeah. Hi, guys.
Fantastic. I was fingers crossed under the desk there. So we'll hand over to Patrick now, and then myself and Kate do have a few bits and pieces to pick up. We can do that in the Q&A session, and we'll hopefully have a little bit more of a discussion. So I'll quite happily hand over to Patrick if you're ready, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Pat. I'm a senior lecturer in optometry. So optometry is a new offering from Teesside University, starting for the first time this September. So we're just going through getting our first cohorts. All the offers are going out, and yeah, it's all starting to get very exciting. Because optometry is new to Teesside and new to the area, really, because it's not a profession that has a huge number of university departments in the country. It's a new offering for the North East, really. And so I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview of what optometry is to start off with. Some may know, some may not. So we'll get everybody a bit of knowledge there, and a little bit about the Teesside course specifically, our admissions criteria, that kind of thing. And then obviously I'm very happy to answer any questions. If I start going on too long and I'm running over my time slot, just virtually kick me and I'll stop. I'm just going to try and share some slides. My iPad's been in a bit of a bad mood today, but I'm going to see if I can get them to work. So bear with me a second. Can people see those slides?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. So our offering is BSc Honours Clinical Optometry. Most courses you'll see on UCAS are called optometry. We're called clinical optometry because we have a very specific clinical slant to the course. As you'll see as we go through, our applicants are going to spend our students, are going to spend significant amount of time out in real world practice, which for a health course probably sounds like common sense and is universally done amongst most health courses. Strangely, for optometry as a profession, we don't do that. So when I trained, I did 12 hours in 3 years. In clinical practice, and that's just not the Teesside way of doing things. So we're seeking to redress that balance, but I'll come on to that in a bit more detail shortly. So firstly, what does an optometrist do? Within the eye care world, so optometry is eyes. I think most people know it sort of that far. But within the eye care world, there's lots of different terminology and different professions that you'll come across. So usually when people think of an optician, it's an optometrist they're thinking of. So if someone does an eye exam for you, they're an optometrist. Only a qualified registered optometrist can perform an eye exam. But there are also other types of optician, which is where it gets a little confusing. There's dispensing opticians. And actually, optician isn't a protected term, strangely. Anybody can call themselves an optician, but not anybody can call themselves an optometrist. There are also optometrists in hospitals, which I'll come on to. With the same qualifications as other optometrists, and there's also ophthalmologists who are medical doctors who specialise in eyes. So those guys have medical degrees and go through all the rotations and everything. So in terms of optometry, we do a lot more than I think sometimes people get the impression we do, and our knowledge base is very broad. Optometrists are often thought of, understandably, in the context of Specsavers or Boots or Vision Express or Mr. Smith's opticians down the road, and that's the context that most people have contact with optometrists. But optometrists, I work in hospital practice as well as at the university. We work in all sorts of other NHS settings as well. So in terms of what we do day to day, firstly, we prescribe and dispense glasses. So we do eye exams on members of the public and find out what prescription you need to be able to see clearly so that you can see the world around you and get on with enjoying your life without tripping over or crashing your car. So I think that's something that most people know that we do. Dispensing the glasses is turning the prescription into a useful optical appliance that you can actually use in day-to-day life to be able to see. And that covers varifocals, bifocals, single vision, sunglasses, glasses for tiny babies that we do at the hospital. There's a huge amount that goes into that. We also, my slides are frozen again. We also diagnose and manage eye conditions. So the picture there, if you can see it in the bottom corner, that's what the back of an eye looks like. But that's not a healthy eye. That's an eye with lots of little spots of blood, which shouldn't be there. So all those little red spots towards the right-hand side, they shouldn't be there. They're where blood vessels have burst. So most likely this patient is diabetic, and their blood vessels have got very fragile. They're bursting and they're leaking, and that person is going to have fairly significant damage to their vision. So we detect eye disease by looking at the back of people's eyes. I'm sure you've all had a bright light shone in your face at the opticians. There's a reason we do that beyond having a bit of a laugh. So we detect the eye disease. Some eye diseases we manage. So I'm an independent prescriber, which is an additional qualification you can do in order to prescribe medications, which obviously makes management more easy. But we also get involved with the management with the hospital service as well. So where necessary, we refer on to colleagues in the hospital. But then we also work in the hospitals, in the clinics there. So you'll find us at all stages of the chain. So there's a real healthcare element to it. It's not just giving out glasses. There's a really strong biology and healthcare aspect to optometry, which is very important. We also work with contact lenses. So you've got the person there applying a contact lens and someone who's had quite a nasty problem with a contact lens and now has an ulcerated cornea. So we sort out contact lenses in the sense of figuring out what lens is right for the right person. We give the contact lenses out. We also manage problems when they occur, but more importantly, try to stop problems occurring in the first place. We prescribe low vision aids, as you can see in the top corner there. So this is for people with profoundly reduced vision. So what used to be blind and partially sighted, which is now sight impaired and severely sight impaired. We provide various tools for them to try and use the vision they do have left, because very few people are actually completely see black. Most people have some residual vision, using that as much as they possibly can. And we work with all members of the community. So naturally, people, when they get a bit older, past retirement age, tend to have more problems with their eyes. So we see them a lot, but we see little kids. I see babies in the hospital. We see all different walks of life, and communication is huge in optometry. So that's well worth flagging up to students who may be interested in the profession. So what do we do in terms of career opportunities? Well, there's high street practice, as we discussed, performing eye exams. There's hospital optometry, working more on the disease management side of things. There's independent prescriber, which is where you can prescribe medications to start working in doctors' clinics. Business ownership. So most of the practices you go to will either be franchised or owned outright by the optometrist testing your eyes. So there's a business opportunity there for people who have that in mind. Domiciliary care, so visiting people at home and providing eye tests in their homes or in care homes, those kinds of settings. Academic and research, so teaching at university departments and performing research in university departments. And self-employed optometry as well, so working in those settings but as a locum in a self-employed way. So unfortunately, it looks like my presentation is frozen. Bear with me a second. Okay, skipped a couple of slides. So the ones it skipped is basically to give you an idea of the structure of an optometry progression path. So you get your A levels, which I'll come on to in a second, or equivalent qualifications, and then you would go to university, do an optometry degree, usually BSc optometry. Once you finish there, you graduate university and you enter a year of assessed and examined practice called the pre-registration period. That's done with an employer, Specsavers, Boots, Vision Express, or a hospital, and you're assessed and examined for a further year by people external to the university. Once you pass that, including a final exam, then you qualified. So that's the kind of path to optometry. So from the end of A levels or equivalent to qualification is usually 4 to 5 years progression. The other bit it's cut out is a little bit of information about the structure of our course, but basically, so that I don't go too far over my time slot, the way it works is that in the first year, we've got people coming in with all different experiences and qualifications. So we provide a foundation basically in the first year. We make sure everybody's got the foundations that they're going to need to build their optometry skills. So we look at human biology and disease systems, ocular anatomy and physiology, the underlying physics, reflection, refraction, diffraction, all these laws of physics that we need to understand. Then we start looking at clinical optometry skills, visual perception. How does our eye turn a photon hitting your retina into the world we see around us? There's a lot that goes into that. Getting into the second year, we start doing more optometry, so looking at eye disease and its management, contact lenses, looking at binocular vision. So just keeping two eyes pointing in the same direction to get a 3D view of the world is a very complex process. And then the third year is mainly clinical. So most of the third year is spent in our clinic at the university, seeing real patients. Which brings me nicely onto the University Eye Clinic, which is shiny and new and hasn't got any fingerprints on it yet, but we'll be getting stuck into it soon. So we have 12 bays within the university clinic, and each bay represents or replicates, I should say, the test room you would see in a high street practice. So each of the 12 bays can be used to perform an eye exam or contact lens care. And so when the students are in their early stages, they'll be practicing on each other. And then once they're safe to be let loose on the public, members of the public will be coming to the university for eye exams performed by the students under supervision of the academic staff. Placements, I mentioned earlier, is very important to the course. So our students, right from the beginning of the course, will be going out on placement in real practices. And the idea here is that, firstly, they need to know what the profession really is, not what the idea of the profession is that they may have got from reading a website. So they'll see real optometry in action with real people right from the beginning. But equally importantly, they'll see the way it's done by different optometrists. The theory underpinning it is the same, but the way it's executed by different optometrists in different settings will be different. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and what it allows the students to do is get input from all these different people with different ideas, pick out the best elements of practice and bring that into their own practice. It might sound really obvious, and most health courses do it, but this is actually innovative for optometry. It's unusual in optometry to do this much placement, but it's a key part of how we want to run the course. So that gives you a better shot there of the on-site eye clinic. You can see one of the bays there with the microscope, the patient chair, the charts behind the camera, but that should look familiar to anyone who's been to have an eye exam in the past. It's frozen again, apologies for that. So I guess the other thing just to say, and then is the admissions side of things, which I might be able to get working. No, skip the slide I wanted. So in terms of admissions, we're looking for 128 UCAS points. So we're looking for an A and 2 Bs in A level, and that should be 3 out of maths, physics, chemistry, biology. So 3 out of those to an A and 2 Bs or equivalent. So we take BTEC extended diplomas, QAA accredited access courses, people with science degrees already. There's various different routes in, but the 128 UCAS points, A and 2 Bs, is our entry point. We're also looking for, as you can see there, there'll be a work-based risk assessment. DBS disclosure is mandatory. You can't register as an optometrist if you have anything that will come up on a DBS. If they've been out of education for a while, we need to see that they've done relevant study, but I guess that won't apply to the people that you're working with. And references through the UCAS system, as you would expect. So in terms of the shortlisting process, we shortlist off the UCAS applications and then we interview everybody. So this year we've interviewed a lot of people. We've had nearly 100 applicants for our 12 places. So it's a very popular course. As I say, it's the only one in the Northeast. So we're thrilled to be coming online and to be developing this source of eye care practitioners for the Northeast that has needed one for a long time. It's a difficult place to recruit if you're running an optical business. So I won't go too much over my time slot. Hopefully that gives you an overview of optometry in our course. But I'll just stop the presentation, and if anyone wants to ask any questions, please do feel free.
Yeah, Patrick, so we have had a few questions. I don't know, you covered entry requirements a little bit, but I'll go over them again just so that it can be clear. So our first question was from Diane, and she said, would we accept the AQA applied science, or is it very definitely A-level chemistry and biology? They've got have got an increasing number of students opting for the AQA level 3. I'm not sure if you know the answer to that's quite admission specific.
Yeah, it's quite admission specific.
Yeah.
I can certainly find out from the admissions team and get back to you. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what we'll do with that one, Diane, is we'll drop you an email and get back to that. And we've also got, if there's any, what's Tina said, she's got a level 3 extended diploma student in health and care. Would you accept this qualification, or should she transfer to BTEC? Again, any specific qualifications, what I'll maybe do is send those over to the admissions team to get a response, just so that we've got a definite answer if you're happy with that, Patrick.
Yeah, sounds like
And
a good
science access course or health related. Again, I'll double check that because it'll depend what modules are in that to what can be confirmed. And Belinda's asked, Patrick, it was 12 places, wasn't it, for this cohort?
Yeah, so for this first cohort, there'll be 12, and then that phases up as we develop the course. The way it works in optometry is anything like that has to be liaised with the regulator, the General Optical Council, same as a lot of healthcare professions. So we're working on that with them at the moment to know sort of how the places will phase up. Because of our 12 bay clinical facility, most likely it'll be multiples of 12. So we'll probably be looking at 12, 24, 36. But we'll keep people posted on that as we progress with the regulator.
Fantastic. And then Tina's asked a couple of good questions, and I don't know the answer to this. Can you apply for the NHS bursary funding for this, Patrick? Is that something you're aware of?
No, there's no NHS funding available to study optometry now.
Okay, nice. It would, wouldn't it? It might at some point. And another good question. So what type of work experience would you recommend for students looking to go into that course?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's certainly something we look for. It was, I think, mentioned on one of the slides that didn't display properly. We're looking for people to have been into an optometry practice. So we need to know that they know what they're applying for. I think a lot of people, understandably, feel that they know what optometry is from having had an eye exam done, or even from someone else having had an eye exam done that they've spoken to. But the really important thing is that they've been into an optometry practice and seen all elements of it. If you can get into different types of practice, that's brilliant. You know, there's a difference between the way a really big Specsavers practice would run things compared to Smith's opticians, where it's just Mr. Smith and the person on reception. So seeing different aspects of optometry, but really valuable. But yeah, time spent shadowing in an optometry practice would be brilliant.
Brilliant, that's fab. And just to read, Diane's posted a really good point there. So she said that the Specsavers in her area, so Diane's based at Prior in Gisborough, are more than happy for students to come and do work shadowing. We tell them to start asking there, so that's a good shout for them to start looking at those local opticians to try and get those works experience. Opportunities. Does anybody else have any questions for Patrick? I think that was really interesting. Are we all good? Fantastic. Thank you so much, Patrick. That was brilliant. Oh, we have one more question. Is there an intake this September?
This September, yes. This is our first intake.
And a brilliant question. Virtual placements, question mark.
Yeah, that is a good question. We're still, as you can imagine, we're still working on how that's going to happen now. We had everything lined up perfectly and ready to go, and then along with everything else, it's been messed up. So there's different ways it might happen. Virtual placements won't be one of the options. It's not practical to deliver what we need to deliver. The placement providers, businesses are currently not able to run, so they don't know and we don't know what the capacity is going to be. There's a possibility placements would start in semester 2 instead of semester 1 if we're delivering content online in semester 1. We're keeping it open as much as we can, but that's certainly a possibility.
Fantastic. I think you did mention that Tina's just asked, will you increase the places in the future? That is the plan, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's definitely going to fit. We just have to work with the regulator to find out how they're happy for us to do it and what time frame.
Brilliant, fantastic. So thank you very much, Patrick. That was very interesting. And all worked. The technology worked. We can take a breath now. What we're going to do now is we're going to pass over to, we've got Karen Williams, who's recruitment coordinator, and Dan Eyston, who's recruitment assistant in our team. They work together on Summer University, which if you don't know about, they're going to tell you about now. They're going to cover a little bit about how they've transitioned to online as well, which is really interesting. So I will hand over to you both, Dan and Karen. You're both there.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Can everyone hear me? Perfect. I'll assume yes, unless somebody says otherwise. So nice to see you all here. Yeah, so me and Karen are looking after the Summer University. I don't know if you're aware of it before. We have ran it for a number of years now. We introduced Winter University last year, and essentially they're short courses, all accredited, that are run by Teesside. And what we're doing this year, because of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, is trying to put all of it online where possible. So we've actually done really well, and the staff have worked hard to find out how we can move it onto online platforms, and we are running the majority of modules that we normally would run. So there is quite a range of different subjects on there. It's open to you yourselves if you're interested, or your families, but also to your students. So it'd be interesting for you to potentially see which courses you might be interested in. So if you just give me a moment, I'm just going to share my screen to show you the Some University website, just to put that up on there. So all applications can be made online. This is our main landing page. You can get there just by going to tees.ac.uk/Summer University. I'll ask Jay to include that on the update she sends around after this, but it'll bring you straight to this landing page, which has some of the information about Summer University generally, but then it has all the courses listed underneath. So you can see there is quite a wide range. There's some ones that might be useful for study skills, such as academic skills for higher education. If there's any students getting towards the end of college who are interested in just doing a bit extra over summer to get themselves ready for education. But there's also quite a lot of introductory modules. The vast majority of these that we offer do have a progression path onto them. So they're really good as taster modules. If a student hasn't studied a particular area before, and they're coming towards, say, the end of the year 12 or they're in year 13 now and they're thinking there's something they might want to try at university, this can be an ideal way for them just to get that 10 credits. It is a 10 credit certificate with the university. So in that sense, it is assessed as well. But I'm just scrolling through these so you can see them. All you need to do is click on any of the ones they're interested in. They can click Find Out More and it'll bring up a little bit of an overview. It'll tell them what the course is involved. There's course details there as well. We've put all that up there. And like I say, it's going to be entirely online for this summer. So that's going to be the big difference for us. So we're quite excited to get that up and running. Applications are coming in pretty fast. We've been open for a couple of weeks now and they are flying through. But people just need to apply online if they're interested. They can do the applications. They can choose up to 3 modules. They are £50 each is what we ask for these. If a student is going to progress on with us in September, so particularly any of you students you know have already applied for us, they would get that money back in September. There are some conditional offers that we have. So if any of you students might have applied for us already for September and have been told they have a conditional offer based on completing some university, you might have that at your college. In those cases, the fee is waived for those students. So that is a bit of a flying introduction to Summer University. I don't know if Karen has anything in particular that she wants to add, or if you have any questions, but I'm happy to go into more details with that.
We have a couple of questions, Dan, I can ask you.
Okay.
Might be admissions based again, I'm not 100% sure, but Lucy's asked, would you recommend or accept these courses as work experience, as a lot of students won't have the opportunity to do the work experience? Might be a good one for Abby if you're not 100% sure.
Well, I would actually say, yeah, good for work experience to be able to support a UCAS personal statement, because any student who's doing something like this will be able to say that they've shown an active interest. They will get skills from it, which they can use as part of the personal statement. There aren't any formal UCAS points associated with them, so I wouldn't recommend a student doing this thinking it will bolster their actual academic UCAS tariff points. However, if they are applying to us for a university course and the admissions team see that they're likely to be short in some areas or they haven't got the subject they want, the admissions team would actually make that offer to them. So it's not for the student necessarily to pick it out and think, okay, well, I'm going to do this some university course and hopefully that'll let me progress onto this. But certainly they can get in touch with the admissions tutors in that way.
I think that sort of addresses Tina's question as well. So Tina's actually asked, has a student who didn't get enough UCAS points, would this improve her chances for next year? It won't improve a student's chances in terms of them reaching that UCAS tariff, which is obviously part of the entry requirement, but it is very good, like Dan said, to support a personal statement and to be able to cover works experience and things like that. So that probably answers that. Gillian said, well, a good question for you, Dan, here. Will the lessons be recorded and can they be viewed later on, or are they live?
There's a bit of a mixture on this. When we're going to be delivering them, because of each different subject and different tutor, we haven't just got a one-size-fits-all. We've tried to tailor it to the subject and what we're actually teaching. So in most cases, what we've tried to do is have a bit of a mix. So we aren't just wanting to be able to put all the information online and say, right, there you go, you get on with that now. It is very much about trying to support that learning and emulate what we'd be doing on campus. So in that sense, we've still scheduled them, and you'll see when you look at the website, most of them do say 6 till 9 on an evening. There's a few differences, but the idea is that the students might not be spending those full 3 hours in active, engaged learning, but we will have live elements. So the tutor will be available during those times. Some of the courses might have like we're on now on Teams, like live tutorials. It is trying to really transfer that learning experience that we would have on the campus in the classrooms online, and that's what I think is really quite exciting, to be able to do that, to really give a good experience.
Definitely, and you guys have done so well to get it moved. I'm going to give you a bit of a compliment here, to get it moved online so fast as well, because it's amazing that you've got as many modules as you have to get online. Alice has asked, does the fee waiver apply for those students starting in January, for example?
Yes, it does.
Nursing courses?
Yeah, it does. So if a student is an applicant, then obviously they would pay up front to start with, and then they would get them fees back if they enrol for either September 2020 or January 21.
Fantastic.
I'll add as well, just as Dan mentioned, yes, a lot of the courses will be delivered live. But am I not correct in thinking, Karen, that they'll record those live sessions should people not be able to take part in the live session?
Yes, that is the case for the majority, but not all of them, because some of them involve sort of live discussions between students and the staff. So there are a few that can't be offered like that, but the majority, yes.
Fantastic. Any other questions, I don't know, Karen? Or, oh, yeah, I say that and somebody gets a question in. Brilliant. Would the waiver apply for higher apprenticeships, for example, the policing apprenticeship?
So if a student's been given a conditional offer based on passing to go on to the apprenticeship, which we do get quite a lot of now, especially for engineering, then obviously their fee will be automatically waived. But if they do start in September or January, it will be exactly the same. They will get their fees reimbursed.
Yeah, the same as a BSc.
Yeah, it's exactly,
yeah.
The answer is exactly the same.
Fantastic. Brilliant. I think that's about it. Unless you have any other last minute questions, we look like we might be about there. Yeah, brilliant. So thank you very much, Dan and Karen. I appreciate you coming on, helping. Thank you.
Right.
Like I said, we will send with the recording of this, those people that can't attend, but we'll send you a list of links and advice for those entry requirements and things as well for Patrick's presentation. We will include the links to Summer University for you to share with your students as well. What we'll do now is, so we've done our schedule thing, so this is very much an over to you guys, and we'll try and have a little bit more of an open forum and a discussion. So myself and Kate do have a couple of bits that we were planning on finishing up, which we'll do now, I think, before we go into a bit of a Q&A style. And if anyone has questions, we can head over and do those. So we had a few last minute things we wanted to mention. So I know we've been in touch with a lot of you and we send you emails and updates regularly, but I just wanted to reiterate the Teachers and Advisors website that we've had go live recently. So we've been working really hard on getting a platform for you guys that's hopefully going to host a lot of resources and materials that, especially now, will probably be more useful than ever. So again, I'll share that link with you, but that's just on our tees.ac.uk website. And we've started doing some pre-recorded videos. Myself and Kate have done some personal statements, student finance, applying through UCAS. So there's definite resources there that you can share with your students. It is that time of year where, well, all the years that time of year, but we'd be out and we'd be talking to your students and we'd be hosting workshops and presentations. And we are really conscious that there's those year 12s that still, they need that progression information, and there's year 13s that have just decided now that they want to go to university, because there always are some. And it's about being able to still offer that same service that we would be able to. So there are pre-recorded sessions on the website. We're also working on getting some subject-specific videos and some resources and materials as well for you to download. But we've started getting things up on the web now, so definitely have a look at that. And very similarly, we are very happy to offer things like this. So live videos, Zooms, we can deliver presentations. Last week I took part in a, I can't remember what it was, personal statement session with Stockton Riverside College and Redcar and Cleveland College, delivering that to their students. So we're really happy to do as much as we can online as well. So if you know that you can get a group of your students logged on and online, we'd be happy to deliver something over this platform as well. It's a bit different, but we're getting used to it, aren't we, Kate?
We are. We're getting there.
And I think that's probably about it, unless Kate wants to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the parents webinar series that we're looking at introducing. So we're looking at hosting sessions for parents, again online, starting in early June. And this is just basically an opportunity for parents to log on and ask questions. We will be providing general information like we did at the start of this session on where we think the university is going in terms of our delivery platforms and things like this, and we'll pass those on as we receive those from the leadership team. But it is just a great opportunity for parents to log on if they've got any concerns or questions, and now the academic staff and ourselves and our leadership team will be there and able to answer those. So we're looking at starting the first one at the beginning of June. We don't have a date confirmed yet, but as we do, we'll send all the information out. If you could share those links with your students so they can pass it on to the parents, and then it's an opportunity for them to log on and ask any questions if they have any.
Definitely, and I know we
fairly sure the parents event is on the 8th of June.
8th of June. 8th of June. But we'll put that in the link that we send out.
So Clive just asked, is the parents webinar best for year 13 students or year 12 as well?
I'd be inclined to say both. Probably the first session will probably be a little bit more for year 13 parents, I would think, that have probably got some more urgent questions with regards to sons and daughters that have already applied and what's going to happen, and also possibly those that haven't applied yet. But I wouldn't deter year 12 parents from coming. I think what Kate and Jade are going to try and do at that session is give an overview of a brief overview of the admissions process, the application process, and also a bit on student finance. And then really we're going to try and take as many questions as we can so that we can get a feel for what it is that parents want to know about in more detail. And then we'll adapt future sessions to provide more detail wherever it's needed. So if the next session needs to be specifically for year 12 parents looking at admissions in more detail, then that's what we'll do.
I think that's a really important point as well. And what when we're going to this Q&A session following this, is what we're really interested to hear is what you guys need from us, what you want to see from us. We are very aware that this isn't a situation that any of us have ever been in before. And if you feel like you're needing something for your students, or if you feel like you've seen loads of this, but actually I need more of that, what can you offer us in that area? We're always at the end of an email, we're always at the end of a voice call. Just get in touch with us and drop us a line and ask how we can work to help you, because that's very much it's what we're here for. If there's anything that we can help you with or your students, we are really interested to hear what you guys need, because you know it might have changed in the last few weeks and months. So if you think you're not seeing something and you could really do with it, just get in touch with us and then we'll see how we can help. We are really nice. We help.
Diane said then, actually, that's a really good idea, actually, that the year 12 students are struggling with the mechanics of working through the UCAS application form with the different sections, and we know that that can be really tricky for students who are making a start on their application process. So could we do something like working through a section by section, perhaps using a webinar or Teams, and showing what type of information needs to populate which section? We can certainly do things like that, absolutely.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because we do the applying through UCAS, but it's much more in a generic sense, and I suppose if they're not getting that contact in person with someone, it is really hard to talk them through. So that's really interesting, Diane. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Tina's asked if we know if the link to apply for the NHS bursary is via BOSS. I have seen the link. Just let me have. I'm going to find the link now, and I'll actually post it on here for
the bursary.
So just bear with me 2 moments.
It wasn't open yet, was it? But we do have the page. We have the link.
No, I think it is open.
It is open now.
It is open, yeah.
Take that back.
And social, for nursing and social work and so on is now open.
Brilliant.
I'm going to post the link to carry on, Jade. I need to find it.
Thank you, Alice. We'll see you later. So if anybody does have any questions in particular that they want to ask now, it's a little bit of an open floor. I know we're heading up to 3 o'clock, but if you can stay, that's brilliant. If you have any specific questions you want to ask us, or just want to get a sense of what's going on. I think something we're really interested in, and we're conscious that might happen a little bit more given the situation, is that those students that were looking to finish school or college, go on to work or apprenticeships, I'd really like to get a feel of how those students are feeling and what sort of numbers you might be looking at within your institutions that are actually thinking, I might need to go on and start considering university courses instead. I know that there might not be necessarily the guarantee of work or apprenticeships at the end of their college course. If anybody has any feelings about that or opinions, I'd be really interested to hear what they have to say. We would always, and I think something that I always do advise when I speak to students at UCAS fairs and careers fairs is those students that are applying for apprenticeships, brilliant. If you can get an apprenticeship, that is fantastic. But something that we would always advise is to apply to a university as a backup, to be honest, as well. So always thinking about that sort of that backup plan of, we know that apprenticeships are difficult to come by. There aren't as many of them as we would like there to be. So seeing what their plans are, given that it's a little bit uncertain what the economic situation is going to be like come September, that would be really interesting as well if any of you have any opinions. Kate has shared that link to the NHS bursary website as well. So that's there for you to share, but again, we'll include that in the email that goes round.
Jade, have you mentioned, sorry, I was trying to find that and I might have missed it, so apologies if you've already said, that obviously we're looking at delivering these going forward. How often do people think it might be useful for us to have these types of updates and catch-ups and things like that? Yeah,
so obviously we're not aware what you're getting off offers from other universities, but we are conscious that we're not the only university that'll be out there offering things. So it would be really nice to hear how frequently you'd like these sessions, whether that's once a month, once a fortnight, once a week. We're really happy to be led by you guys in this sort of situation. So if you have any opinions on that, please let us know. And again, if there's any topics that you want us to look at, we have had Patrick in today talking about optometry, but if there's any particular areas that you feel you might need a little bit of a top up of knowledge, a little bit of CPD, we can arrange for that. Any advice on student finance or UCAS, we can look to get some external speakers in as well. Again, I don't know what your access to those types of things are at the minute, so if there's something useful in that area that you could need a little bit more of a refresher, we can do that. But yeah, very much feel we want your feedback. Give us your feedback and let us know where you want these to go, because I say we're happy to do them as often as possible. We do our hair and our makeup for these sessions as well, which is quite unusual at the minute, so it gives us something to look forward to.
Gives us an opportunity to put it on for a change, doesn't it?
Yeah. So do have a think about what you would like to see. Like I say, Abby's mentioned we can invite external speakers. So I know in the past at Knowledge Networks that we've held on campus, we've had people from UCAS, we've had people from Student Loans Company. But again, very much led by you, and please do just let us know. Don't think you've been cheeky or anything. Just drop us an email with some suggestions, would be brilliant. And we'll tailor it to you guys. Is our plan, isn't it, going forward, Kate?
Yeah, very much on how often. I mean, obviously we might think that you might need this type of information weekly or fortnightly, but obviously we're aware that other universities are doing the same. So if you think that us meeting monthly might be more appropriate, please do pop a meeting in the comment in the chats there and say what you think would work for you guys as well. Or feel free to turn your microphone on and have a chat with us if you want to.
Yeah. We've silenced you, haven't we?
UCAS, yeah, I'm just reading the questions, Jade, down the side. Diane's mentioned about apprenticeships.
Yeah.
So if they had a session plan for apprenticeships, because there is a little bit of limited information out there. So it could be that if the people find it useful as well, we could maybe do a session on apprenticeships as well, if people would find that useful.
Apprenticeship team to come in, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do a talk, yeah.
You're very welcome, Ian and Diane.
Okay.
Yeah, so Abby's posting bits and pieces on there as well on the chat, so if you want to keep an eye. But yeah, we do get a lot of data and a lot of updates from external companies and things like that. So if you want to know anything like that or want those types of updates, just let us know as well. Thank you.
I think apprenticeships is looking like a popular one, Jade. That might be one to go with. Yeah.
Okay. And I think what's really important as well is that we still feel like a bit of a community. I know we're all sort of isolated in our own houses, but it is nice to log on. It's nice to see people, because we're not getting those, we love hosting Knowledge Network, don't we, and getting a bit of a buffet and having a nice catch up with everyone, and we're just not having those opportunities. I think this gives that sort of social element as well, which is lovely. So yeah, we'll definitely look for something at apprenticeships. Like I say, do get in touch with either of us. So Kate and myself are your main contacts. If you are North East based, I'm your main contact, and I'm sure you'll have my email address, but if not, let us know. And then Kate looks after national, everywhere else.
Yeah.
So
I'm South Yorkshire, West Yorkshire, and everything after that.
Everything beyond. I've got the easy job, really, haven't I? So do get in touch with us if you have our personal emails. Abby, are you?
Yeah.
See your little hand.
Yeah, just wanted to do a quick plug for something else that's available at the moment. A lot of our applicants have been written out to already if they're eligible, but just so that you're aware, applicants to our engineering and computing programs have access, the school's made available a free maths module that the students can be taking and studying online between now and starting university. And that is specifically designed to help them to prepare for starting university. So even if they've already, you know, they're going to meet their entry requirements and so on and so forth, it's designed more from the point of view of perhaps some students that might have missed out on some face-to-face learning over the last couple of months. It might just offer them that bit more confidence about moving into the first year of their computer science degree or their engineering degree. So if anybody's interested or thinks they've got any applicants who might be interested in doing that, drop Jade or Kate a line and they'll be able to send you the details of how the students apply for that module.
Absolutely. I know something else we've been talking about as well that we'd be interested to hear about is when it comes to results day. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit of a strange time for your students. It'd be really interesting to see in terms of your planning, what you're putting in place, how that's going to work, how you're going to offer support to those students as well, that obviously they're not going to get that opportunity to come into college and accept their results, and if things have gone badly, get that additional support. This year being the year that it's been so far, I imagine it's going to be an absolute anomaly in terms of an experience for those students, but it'd be really interesting to hear what your plans are and how you're looking to support those students and go through that process as well is something we'd be quite interested in hearing about. So if you can share that with us again, that would be brilliant. Trade with having a couple more. Abby, the Tina's just asked, is that applicable for students studying the engineering degree at the colleges?
Yeah, and I've just replied. I think it probably is, but I'll just double check for her.
Yeah, I'll add that to the list. We'll follow that up.
Jade, when are you planning on holding the next session, and would it be useful for either myself or somebody from the admissions team to talk a little bit more about what our plans and arrangements are for confirmation and clearing?
Absolutely, yes. I think as the first point of call, we'll maybe suggest to do it in 2 weeks' time. We will get a bit of feedback from people about longer term, how often they want it, but we'll look for 2 weeks' time, which I'm just sneakily pulling my calendar up, is the 4th of June, which we won't do that day because it's the same day as the parents' one, isn't it?
No, parents is the 8th.
Oh, right, that's okay then. Yes, we'll do 4th of June. I think maybe as the first point, we'll go for it 2 weeks' time, and then, like I say, people can give feedback as whether they feel like that's too frequent, not frequent enough, they can let us know. But yeah, I think on the 4th of June we'll maybe have somebody then talking about that would be handy. Admissions, I think there might be a lot of questions as well if we get someone from the admissions team.
Yeah, well, if you'd like me to be there, it needs to be in the morning because I've got meetings back to back from 2.
Okie dokie. So what we'll do is then, guys, like similar to this, we'll send out an invite for the next session. I do hope that's been enjoyable. I don't think you've got any more questions. None have come through at the moment. Like I said, Kate and I are on email or on video call. So do get in touch with us if you think of anything. And again, if you do have questions about admissions or anything like that and you wanting to get a response, drop us an email as well and we'll do our best to find the answer for you because we're always here and we can be that sort of intermediate. So do get in touch, but I've really enjoyed this. I hope everybody else has. It's been nice to catch up with everybody, and we'll send an invite round for the next one, but it'll be 2 weeks' time, so the 4th of June. All right. Are you okay? Do you have anything to add, Kate, Abby?
No, nothing. We're just look forward to seeing you in a fortnight.
Fab, brilliant. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.